everyone listening, my name is Atiq Weston. I'm an incarcerated activist from Middletown, New York. I'm currently confined within the New York State Department of Corrections and serving a 15-year sentence for robbery and an illegal manslaughter offense for which the 5-year statute of limitations had already expired before the offense was ever charged. Even though I'm only 32 years old, I've been confined within the criminal justice system for almost 17 years of my life. So when it comes to the topic of excessive force within the Department of Corrections, I can easily share memories of my own personal experiences of being tortured and brutalized by correctional officers. I've even personally witnessed and overheard many instances to where correctional officers were actively assaulting prisoners without justification, and was pretty much helpless to do anything for them or for myself for that matter. A majority of OSI complaints to Albany rarely ever yield any results, due to the fact that those complaints are sufficiently investigated. In-house grievances are also ineffective to address our concerns as well. The only results that turn up when you file damaging grievances against corrupt and abusive employees is more retaliation through other avenues. To briefly bring up just one of many instances where I was unjustly assaulted by correctional officers while I was confined with a mechanical restraint was back in May 2022 within the Upstate Correctional Facility. To be honest, that assault against me was a form of retaliation for an incident that transpired about 2 hours prior to the assault. I was having a discrepancy with an officer over my medical diet meal tray. I received a medical diet due to existing medical issues such as obesity. Long story short, instead of placing a quick 2-second phone call to the mentor in order to fix the discrepancy with the meal tray, the officer chose to lie and not fix the issue. I was then forced to go hungry. I felt so degraded. So when the officer came to collect my tray after refusing to correct the meal tray issue, I then chose to push my tray through the metal door slot onto the floor. So pushing my tray out of the slot and onto the floor, the Department of Corrections chose to over-exaggerate and write me a ticket for an assault on staff rule violation. Hours later, 2 officers and a sergeant approached my cell, told my bunkie to lock out into the back register and told me to pack my property because I was being relocated to the SHU area of the residential rehabilitation unit. I peacefully complied. I was then placed in behind the back handcuffs and was moved to an isolated area for a degrading naked strip search. My handcuffs were removed. I objected to the presence of the camera, but still complied with the search. The strip search completed. I got dressed and was replaced within behind the back handcuffs and escorted to the sergeant's office. In the sergeant's office, where they disabled the audio monitor system, the sergeant then became a bit provocative and even threatened that he could have his officers bash my head. I stayed calm and pretty much told him, you can do whatever you want to do. I'm just trying to get to myself. Plus, I'm in handcuffs, so if they're going to jump on me, there's nothing I can do to defend myself anyway. It just is what it is, unfortunately. The escort officer then placed his hands on a chain link in the middle of my behind-the-back handcuffs and steered me to A-block SHU cell, 15 cell to be exact. Once we arrived to the open cell, the typical procedures for the officer to allow the prisoner to step into the cell on his own and then wait for the door to close. The handcuffs are then properly removed through the medical administrative slot. However, this officer kept his hands on my handcuffs and then told me to take 1 step into the cell and wait for the door to close before turning around. I calmly complied. Cameras even show absolutely zero body movements on my end, nor did the officer's hands ever move, which would be a sure sign that I was moving. The officer just started yelling, stop resisting, and pushed me into the cell, and I was bum rushed and gang assaulted by multiple officers. My arms were tied behind my back with a sheet, and I was shoved under the bed. They always degrade every prisoner they assault in a cell in a similar manner as what happened to me. And even though I had minor injuries, that still doesn't mitigate the harmful impact that assault has had on my life. After this correctional officer gang assault, documents were falsified. My lack of resistance on a video camera was corruptly ignored by their fellow officer who conducted my disciplinary hearing, and I was given an additional 9-month SHU and 6 months loss of good time for their officer's corrupt lies. To make matters worse is that the written disciplinary disposition was not written in compliance with the mandates of Correction Law 137 and was supposed to have been invalidated as a result of a class action lawsuit titled Fields versus Martucello, which was ordered and decided back in June 2024. I hope the DOCCS Commissioner Daniel Martusello in Albany and his office did nothing, even though I submitted all of the proper documentation and case laws to prove that I am entitled to the release. I feel like when you walk into a corruptly flawed system like DOCCS, the practices within the environment reflect the low levels of integrity of the leaders that run it. DOCCS needs more training and better policy, but most importantly, they need better leadership, because the people responsible for running the system are the ones directly responsible for the rampant misconduct that occurs within it on a daily basis, because their deficient leadership is what made all of the misconduct in the first place. The abusive behaviors of correctional officers through corrupt exercises of excessive force are the exact reasons why we have to say rest in peace to prisoners like Robert Brooks and Messiah Nantwi before any real changes that are created. Is it always going to take for someone's life to be taken in order for simple policies to be revised? Like, when are we ever going to receive justice without having to suffer through pain first? In any event, these are my experiences. Thank you very much.